Okay, what should we talk about?
Very good, very good. Well, that's kind of a bit of an overview.
So let's talk about some more personal stuff, like how this might affect. Does anyone have any questions about how this stuff would affect each of us?
So have you come across anything in your life that's when you're in the situation just you can't do something, or it's just too difficult, or you pose problems?
Tax probably is the one that I've run up against. Now, I initially went the hard way and tried to fight against tax. Okay, I did an enormous amount of research and challenged the taxation department. And
to try not to pay tax? Or?
No, to try to get the taxation department to prove that there was a liability between me and the taxation department, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't prove that there was a connection. And so not only did I write the 20 questions, that they only got 3 right, I then produced a document based on that, and I gave them the supporting evidence, and I faxed it all off and never heard from them.
Would you happen to know or have a copy of those 20 questions?
I do. I have all of those on my
Would
machine.
I be able to get a copy?
Sure.
Because there's someone I'd like to put them to.
Sure. You're welcome. Yeah, I'll get Rodrigo to forward them. I've got them probably as a document file, so I can send them to you. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, they're very interesting. But when I realised that there was no lawful money in circulation, it kind of discounted everything. You know, it kind of made it all funny to me, because I realised there was no taxable event. Anyway, so bang, there's one sentence and the whole lot's gone. So all that research that I did was just bollocks. Yeah. So getting back to the credit card thing, just for a second here. A friend of mine was $47,000 in debt. I was $5,000 in debt before as well. So I'd known. I followed the process and I got rid of my $5,000 debt. And a friend of mine said, "Can you do it for me?" And he had $47,000 in debt. 40,000 of it was a home loan to Bank SA, which is St George Bank, and 7,000 was to GE. Now, I'd already dealt with GE. I knew what goes on at GE, and so I knew how to handle them. It was a piece of cake, right? So it took all up, I think it was around 2 months to completely wipe his debt clean. And in the beginning he was very skeptical, and everyone, like his mother, was saying, don't do it, it's not going to work, it's not possible. Even my parents, would say that. And I had to explain all this stuff very carefully, and I said, look, I'm not going to do anything wrong at all. I'm not going to put you into any harm, and we're not going to do anything illegal. All we're going to do is ask some questions and see if we can get an answer. So I wrote for him a half-page letter asking basically 4 or 5 questions, and I can give you a copy of that letter. Actually, I should probably grab my laptop right now, and we'll just take a momentary break. I'll grab my laptop.
So have you read more and further into actually doing it?
Yeah, well, there's a huge amount of documents that relate to all different sectors on this.
Yep.
Because basically Agent J has been studied this full on for a couple of years to get a handle on it.
You believe me, it did my head in.
So did someone introduce you to this? Or?
Yeah, Tristan actually introduced me to this, and he sent me, interestingly enough, he sent me this this document. I forget what the name of it was, but it was by Mary Elizabeth Croft, and it was on this whole proof of claim thing, and how, I think it was called Cracking the Code, or How I Clobbered the Banks, one of those sorts of things. When I read that, it just blew my head off. I was just like, oh shit, I can't believe this stuff. It was like somebody had woken me up from this bad dream. It was exactly like the Matrix, And so when I studied that, I then just went off on an incredible journey of having to know and research everything. So I just was downloading, and studying laws and corporations acts and all of this stuff. And I came kind of full circle. And then earlier this year, she actually bought my CD, and bought my DVD. I had a letter from her. And so I emailed her and was asking her some questions, and she mentioned something about a case, a court case that she was involved with. And I offered to help out, and so the lady, it turned out the lady who I'd initially learnt from ended up asking me for advice. And so I ended up giving her some stuff that she didn't know about to help her out with her court case, which was about proof of claim and things that she didn't know about. So that was really cool, because she'd been doing it for 30 years. Now,
because there was something on a current affair, I can't remember, it sounds very, very similar, but they basically had a house and paid council rates.
oh yeah, I can tell you all about that one.
Yeah, and did they create their own royal family or something with a king and a queen? Or
Yeah, that was just kind of a bit of a joke, because you can do that. Basically, what
And that's
had
why, that's incidentally, I think that's why the media gave it coverage, because it
Yeah.
was, trivialised the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Made
Yeah.
it like a little
make it a joke.
novelty,
Yeah,
And people just go, oh yeah, sure you can do that.
you know.
they have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a chuckle, you know. Oh, look at it. Okay, essentially what you can do, land is ours, okay? Nobody really owns it as per se, right? The government kind of holds it for us, okay, until we reclaim it, which sounds strange. So what you can do is, you can actually do a quick claim on the land and go back and check all of the titles to the land, and you can actually get the original title and make sure that you own everything and there's no encumbrances, and then you declare yourself a state. Okay, so you declare yourself to be your own state. It might be the state, you make up whatever name you want to, right? And that's what these guys have done. They declared themselves a state because the government was denying them access to their land. And if you notice, everybody has a medium strip on their land, right? Even here, okay, certain people have been fined for parking their car with the arse end hanging over in their own driveway, mind you, but the arse end of it is on this supposed, invisible medium strip that the council owns, okay? And you're blocking this kind of fictitious, invisible piece of land. And I'm sure that the governments make a medium strip so that they control access to your land, right? And so anyway, that's what that was all about. So these guys, and just to kind of formalise it, they decided to become king and queen of their own state. And so everyone can do
Wouldn't
that.
that exclude you from taxation and stuff?
You can make up your own rules. You can do whatever you like, because you become what we all are, sovereign. We're all
But
sovereign,
at the same time, if you did that, wouldn't they be able to say, well, we're not going to supply things like power
Sure.
and water?
Sure. And so what he had done is he'd actually gone and made agreements, which you can do as well. You go and make an agreement with a utility supplier or with a phone company, and you have an agreement with them to supply something. Yeah, but I don't think they weren't paying council rates.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about agreements. Now we're going to pop back to these credit card ones. Let me just open this up here. It doesn't matter if we drop off on the
What do
recording.
you think would happen if this got out in the public and everybody started doing it? Would they be able to change the law?
You can't change laws, okay, because we don't own the laws.
Would they
What
use
I would
force to change the laws?
be afraid of happening is of opening a Pandora's box and having subversive groups, or perhaps even bikies,
wrong
or
way.
misusing the system. Because the key point in all of this stuff is that we all have to take back our sovereignty. We have to take back our responsibility for our actions, and we basically do. I mean, when I journey on the roads, on the common ways of the land, I still abide by the general speed limit. Even though I'm not subject to it, I still accept, and there's a certain level of responsibility that everyone else is doing this. I stop at the red lights. I do all those things because it's the naturally accepted kind of passage.
So, like, the fact that people out there have bothered to say do experiments or tests into and research what is a safe way to conduct yourself.
Sure.
And so you're taking that as
I accept. I agree. Basically, to go along with that, even though I'm not subject to it. For example, if they said I was speeding, okay, it wouldn't apply to me. So, I generally accept, the status quo, and by doing that, I take responsibility for my own actions.
Like you were saying before,